Hey y'all, welcome into Bales Farms and our episode 4 of this little thing that we have called Fireside Conviviality. Hopefully most of you are familiar with what we do here, and that's why you're coming back. For any first timers, thank you for joining us. Thank you for your sense of adventure, and welcome. Just a little get together we have here every now and then to stay in touch and keep you up to date with what's going on the farm. My name is Barry Bales. This, of course, is Allison Bales.
Hello.
She can talk, yes. So here we are. We usually do these on a Friday. We got sidetracked yesterday. We had meetings and chores and just various things. And so now it's Saturday. So please forgive us. Hopefully, I hope we were missed, but probably not. So anyway, how's it going?
Good. Good. How are you?
Well, I'm in a foul mood.
I'm so sorry.
The Vols have,
Yes, it's been a hard week.
they've either forgotten how to play basketball or decided they don't want to play basketball.
But it's good to have off time in February and not in March or April now.
Well, that's true. I was going to show you what happens when UT loses to Kentucky. That is my friend Jason Carter, who is a world-class fiddle player. He plays fiddle for the Del McCurry Band and a diehard Kentucky fan. And we have this running thing that if Kentucky wins, he always sends me himself playing My Old Kentucky Home, which of course is their song. And
For the University of Kentucky?
yeah.
I did not know that.
And in return, if Tennessee wins, I send him myself playing Rocky Top.
Mm-hmm. Do you play it on the fiddle?
I have. See, that's the thing. As a bass player, it doesn't really translate. Like, he's a really good fiddle player. Like, even that one, playing with a foam finger, it was still good. It was still better than I can play the fiddle. But normally, I'll send him myself playing Rocky Top on something that I'm really bad at, and it sounds terrible. And then I thought, well, I don't need to desecrate the UT song if we do get the win, so I got to figure out how to better do that. I sent him one last time, sort of a slow bluesy version on the electric guitar, but
Oh. Did he like it?
he didn't like getting it, no.
Oh.
But I don't like getting that either, so hopefully they'll,
Turn it around.
yeah, send Fulky some pals or something.
You'll have one more opportunity, I bet, in the SEC tournament.
Well, we'll see. Anyway, besides that, everybody's kind of in a foul mood with the weather. Mm-hmm. Although we have thankfully been spared the worst of what most of our friends in the Southeast and the South have experienced. Mm-hmm. It's not been so bad other than just rain, 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 mud, mud, mud.
Mm-hmm. True.
So
True.
we'll get over it.
Mm-hmm. It will dry up. And in August, we'll be on here saying, oh, it's so dry.
Please rain, please rain, please rain.
Right.
Yep.
Yep.
So other than that,
Things are good. We're marching towards spring. In a couple of weeks, we're going to spring forward, and it's going to be nice.
and we're springing towards March.
Yes, we are springing towards
Get
March.
it?
Yeah.
Marching towards spring.
Yes.
Oh well. So, what cocktail are you having today?
I am having a cucumber pineapple martini. I juiced cucumber and pineapple this morning, and I added it to a little vodka, and so we're giving that a whirl. It's
But you said it's not really doing it for you.
well, it's healthy.
Well, there
It
you
is
go.
very healthy. Yes. It's
Well,
a
if you want
healthy
healthy-
juice with a splash of vodka.
If you want healthy, just do a juice.
Well, it's left over from our juice this morning.
Right. Okay.
So, what are you having?
Well, there again, I go to my old standby. That is a Boulevardier, but with rye instead of bourbon.
I even had lovely garnish for mine, and I forgot to
I
bring it
know.
out.
I keep falling down on the garnish
I
situation.
didn't bring it out, but cheers.
Cheers. Here's to lots of things. Getting chickens out on pasture.
Yes. That's coming up next week.
Next week, our new batch of laying hens are going out to pasture, and
It's a very exciting time. They're going from the nursery to their big girl's bed.
that's right.
Remember, it was a great night in our house when Marshall went from his little boy bed to his big boy bed.
Oh, yeah.
And it was super exciting.
That's right.
It's going to be exciting for them. I bet they'll be just as excited as Marshall to get out on that grass.
I hope they're so excited they start laying tons of eggs.
They're doing well, though, already.
Well, yeah, the pullet eggs,
They're smaller.
I mean, they're edible, but they're about that big.
All right. We've been eating them for weeks.
Yeah. So, yeah, lots of things in the works.
Yes.
We have
A question?
some things we need to talk about.
Right.
Yes.
Yes. We have had over the past few months, we have had some questions about a hashtag that is becoming very popular and becoming more mainstream. It's not a new term, but it's new to a lot of people. And so they have asked what it means. And so you're going to explain that to everyone. You're going to teach us all about regenerative agriculture.
I'm going to try my best. I'm going to put on my really cool, ironic reading glasses.
Where did you get those? Those are super cool.
I think they came from, did I get these from Readers?
I think so.
Readers.com?
I think so.
Yeah. Got quite a few pairs for not very much money.
That's right.
All right, so first I'm going to read you the definition of regenerative agriculture, and then I'm going to try and explain what it means to us and our farm and our production methods. So,
and why it's important, if
Right.
anyone even needs to be thinking about it, because there are different
okay,
terms.
so the definition, online definition of regenerative agriculture, it is a conservation and rehabilitation approach to food and farming systems. It focuses on topsoil regeneration, increasing biodiversity, improving the water cycle, enhancing ecosystem services, supporting biosequestration, increasing resilience to climate change, and strengthening the health and vitality of farm soil. Practices include recycling as much farm waste as possible and adding composted material from sources outside the farm. So that is the first one I came upon from Wikipedia, which we all know, Wikipedia, somebody can just go make up whatever they want to. That's close. But to me, regenerative agriculture is, for a long time, people that farmed and thought like we do tended to talk about things in the realm of sustainability and sustainable agriculture. But we're starting to move away from that, and I'm glad that we are, because people started kind of rethinking it and realizing that sustainable means if we keep doing what we're doing and farming the way we're farming, we're not going to make things any worse. It's sustainable. But is that really the best approach? So when you think about it from the standpoint of regenerative agriculture focuses on rebuilding topsoil, building healthier soil, building healthier ecosystems within the soil as far as it relates to microbes and all the little unseen things that feed on each other and feed on bacteria and feed on, I'm not the best at this as far as the nomenclature and the science of it, the rhizomes and all that. Regenerative agriculture means we're trying to make it better rather than just sustaining it at this level as to where we are. So we want to rebuild topsoil through keeping and increasing organic matter in the soil. We want to decrease or eliminate tillage We want to always have grass growing or a plant growing, or as Gabe Brown says, a living root in the soil. We want to increase the types and varieties of plants that are growing, increase the root mass, increase the biodiversity. So those are some lofty terms. Bring that down to the closer, really close up version. For us, that means we do rotational grazing, which means we do all of our animals this way. Most people think of rotational grazing as it relates to cattle, using temporary strands of electric fence, and instead of, well, like for example, when I was a kid, for the most part, our cattle had free run of this entire farm. Now there might be a time that my grandfather would fence them out of what we call the substation field over here because he was going to mow it for hay. But they had the run of the farm for the most part. Whereas we now divide our paddocks up, we try to figure out at any given time how many animals we have and figure out how much forage there is available for them and divide those paddocks down, which is when you subdivide with that electric fence, each little section is a paddock. You try to give them enough area to where they're going to eat, where they have enough to eat for one day. Then you come in the next day and you move them to the next paddock, and they've got enough to eat for one day. So you keep doing this, and it does a few different things. It concentrates the manure, which is free fertilizer. That's another thing about regenerative agriculture is the goal is to decrease and or eliminate the use of synthetic chemical fertilizers, i.e. triple 10, triple 19, whatever, anything like that.
And that, by eliminating them, or decreasing or eliminating, that is good for the animals. That's good for the grass there. But I would assume that's good for any runoff or
that's the biggest thing.
The community at
in,
large.
In my mind, is so much traditional synthetic fertilizer like a triple 10 or triple 19 gets applied, and you get a big rain. Particularly if it's applied on a tilled field. Somebody goes in and plows their field up, getting ready to plant. They go in, they apply fertilizer. You get a big rain, all of that goes into the creek, which goes into the river. And that's, some people may or may not have read about the dead zone in the Gulf of Mexico, where the Mississippi dumps into the Gulf of Mexico at New Orleans. That's from however many miles that the Mississippi runs the course of this country, and all of the farmland dumping all of that unused fertilizer, and it ends up down there and it kills everything. Not to mention that traditional fertilizers like that are routinely not readily absorbed. I mean, just because you put 500 pounds to the acre, that doesn't mean your plant is going to take up 500 pounds worth of that,
Right.
or that it's going to be readily available. There's a lot of it that doesn't get used.
Right.
So it's bad for our waterways, and the biggest thing on the close-up view is it's bad for your pocketbook. Fertilizer is expensive, and if most of it's going to go to waste anyway, why use it?
Right.
So-
There ought to be a better way.
So anyway, you get, with rotational grazing, you get the natural fertilizer that comes from your animals deposited in a specific area, and then cattle in particular. If you turn cattle out in a 40-acre field, they're going to go and find the ice cream. They're going to go and find the best, most delectable, most palatable, most tender plants available, which most of the time is going to be clover. And they're just going to keep hammering it and hammering it. And as soon as it grows back just a little bit, they're going to eat it again because it's really tender and young. And they're going to do that to the point where they're going to kill it. And all of the less desirable plants and weeds are going to come back in its place. Whereas with rotational grazing, they learn that they have this specific area that they're in. And it's another term for it is called mob grazing, and it's mimicking the herds of buffalo and elk and different things that existed in this country, Lewis and Clark era long before that. You know, they would just they were continually on the move, like they would eat and graze and just continually on the move, and they might not be back to that particular part of the prairie for a year. So that grass grows back and gets lush, and the root system gets really big and long and sturdy. And that's what you're trying to mimic, is they're only on this section for a short period of time, like in our situation, one day. Then they're over here. And then the goal is they're not back on this place until, you know, it depends on how many animals you have, how much acreage you have, how you lay your paddocks out. But the goal is to give that particular piece at least 30 to 60 days worth of rest before they come back around and are on it again, hence the rotational part of the grazing. And that gives that plant, you know, you don't graze it down to the ground, you take the top, whatever, 1/3 or so off of it. I mean, you want to leave 4 to 6 inches of plant in best case scenario, which means you're going to have that much root system. Mm-hmm. So you want to keep that rotation going and space it out as long as you can before those animals get back on that particular piece. We do the same thing with pigs. We don't move pigs every day. We move them less often, but we still move them on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. And same thing with chickens. And chickens, talk about capturing free fertilizer. Mm-hmm. I mean, a lot of people buy chicken manure and spread it on their fields for fertilizer. We're just rotating our chickens through, and they're dumping that fertilizer on the fields for us as we go.
And we have many pictures on, especially Instagram, showing the rotation of the chickens, the chicken tractors, and showing the before and after pictures that they can go see if they would like.
Sure, yeah, it you know, at first, it looks like it's kind of been decimated, particularly by chickens, not cows so much, but in no time at all, you know, a few days removed, it's back big and lush and green and experiencing the, you know.
Better than before.
Better than before, you know, the disturbance is good, the fertilizer, the natural fertilizer is good, the rotation is good. So this whole thought of regenerative agriculture is trying to mimic nature, really. As I said, talking about mimicking the herds back in the you know, pre-big time civilization days in this country. That's the way things worked, and that's why we have these lush prairie grasses and all the native warm season grasses, especially, and flowers. And it's kind of become, to me, you know, I would rather see the regenerative agriculture seal on something than the organic seal. You know, organic can mean so many things. Mm-hmm. Organic has become a very confusing term in that you think it means one thing, but to be considered organic, it can mean things that you don't necessarily think it would mean or want it to mean. Mm-hmm. So the regenerative ag movement, to me, is a more natural, just a better way to go all around for the environment and for the bottom line. I mean, that's the whole thing about being a farmer is, you know, if you're not making money, it's a hobby. And it's way too much work to have it be a hobby.
Mm-hmm. True.
Did I leave anything out?
I think that answers
for the people that don't, not going into a deep dive. If you want to do a deep dive, a deeper dive that you can still wrap your brain around and not have your head or your eyes roll back in your head with scientific stuff, but real meaty substance, I would look up Gabe Brown, who is a rancher in North Dakota, and or a partner of his, Ray Archuleta. And then there's also Greg Brand is another one. And who am I leaving out? Those are three of three of the big ones that there's so much YouTube information. There's so many great talks on YouTube that feature them, and they really know how to lay it out there to where it makes sense way more than what I could ever say.
And Ray was featured on the documentary, I believe it's called Kiss the Ground.
I think that was it, yes.
Yes, so that's another resource.
Which is
it's on everything.
Prime or Netflix, one of the two.
Right. I think you answered that question well. Thank you.
Okay, well, great. I did something good today.
Yeah.
Mark one thing off the list.
Yeah, there you go. You taught a whole class.
Do I get credit? Can I?
No, but we can drink now.
Okay.
Because now the public schoolers are gone.
All right, we'll edit that part out.
We were asked to do a video for a high school science class. So that was it. As well as we have had multiple people ask us about what that regenerative ag means.
Yeah, and there's also if anybody in our area is interested,
yes,
I'm on the board of a local group called the USA Regenerative Agriculture Alliance. It's really hard for me to say. Regenerative and Agricultural.
And Alliance all together.
Are really hard for me to say. I feel like Tom Brokaw.
I think that's why most people just say regenerative ag.
Right. But anyway, we've had them before. We had to cancel last year because of the COVID. Hopefully, this September in Greenville, Tennessee, we're having our annual conference again with a plethora of great speakers and experts in the field of regenerative agriculture. Greg is going to be there. I need to look at my list. I think Alan Williams is going to be there, he's in that same group with Ray and Gabe, but he's kind of the head dude over. He's got a lot of different titles and expertise, but he's kind of the head dude at Joyce Farms. And then if he can make it, which I think he can because the music business is pretty much shut down, Teddy Gentry from Alabama, the country group Alabama, is going to be there, who is big into, he basically is the inventor / breeder of South Pole cattle, which are now
They're really popular.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, there's a lot more speakers than that, but there's a Facebook page. You can check it out. USA Regenerative Agricultural Alliance. Oh, hard for me to say. Anyway, just Google it.
Yeah.
And check it out. And it's the last one I went to was, even having been already way down this road, it was mind blowing. So I'm sure the next one will be equally as good. So there you go. Yeah. Anything else?
Thank you.
I talked the whole time. So what do you have to say?
Well, that was important. We have had many questions about what is this regenerative ag. We get lots of questions about regenerative agriculture, non-GMO, organic versus.
Well, and let me say a word about non-GMO. I have made a lot of people mad, I think probably, or we have inadvertently and vertently. Is that a word?
I don't know, but I don't want any.
Well, there's a lot of people that don't think that that's a thing. They think it's a bunch of hocus pocus and.
What, GMO? Genetically modified organisms?
Well, the whole thing, like if you go GMO, you're a tree hugger and a hippie and all that.
Wait.
If you go non-GMO.
Right.
So anyway, all I'll say about non-GMO is that the reason that we choose to feed, like our cattle are grass-fed, grass-finished. They just eat grass. That's all. our pigs and our chickens get a supplemental. They're all on pasture eating grass and bugs, but they have to have a supplemental feed, and you get a non-GMO feed. So the reason that I choose a non-GMO feed is I want to, if I can't eliminate, I at least want to, as much as possible, lessen my exposure to a glyphosate type product. So, I don't want a feed that has a Roundup Ready or a Clearfield type bean or corn or whatever in it. So your best chance of that, but at the same time, there again, we get back to if you're a farmer, you're trying to make a living. We have looked at it, and we can't make the numbers work using organic feed. So to me, non-GMO feed, if I can reduce and or eliminate something that contains a Roundup Ready product, and if you don't know, like a Roundup Ready product, there are seed manufacturers that have developed in the laboratory corn and soybeans and
everything,
cotton
and wheat.
I'm not even really sure what all, but like if you go buy Roundup Ready corn, that means that I don't do it, so I'm not really up on it, but at least twice, possibly more times throughout the growing season of this corn, you can spray it with Roundup to kill all the other weeds, and it won't hurt, it won't kill the corn. So I don't want to eat corn that's been sprayed with Roundup.
Right.
And I don't want to eat animals that eat corn that's been sprayed with Roundup. That's my personal decision. This is our farm. That's the decision we've made. And a lot of our customers feel the same way. A lot of people have a lot of producers have different goals and fall in differing areas along the spectrum of agree or disagree with that. That's why we do it, mainly. I mean, you can get into the thing about, are things naturally occur? I mean, what's the difference between a GMO or a hybrid and all that discussion? My main goal with it is I want to lessen my intake of glyphosate.
Poison.
Yeah. So there you go.
So when you choose to spend your dollars with us, you are choosing to spend money on products that have been raised in such a way that have either completely eliminated or eliminated as much as humanly possible chemicals. That's what we do. There are lots of research studies that have been done.
And whether it's with us or not, if you spend your money supporting somebody who practices regenerative agriculture, then you are supporting somebody who is doing a net putback into the soil, a net put back into the land, a net put back into the atmosphere, to the environment.
Right. Yes.
Okay.
Yay. Okay, well, I think everybody's probably asleep, so we probably need to thank you. If you're still here, for the 2 or 3 people who are still here with us.
Well, we will put some informative notes in our show notes about if you want to do a deeper dive, we'll send you in the right direction.
Yes.
So thank you for the questions. Thank you for sticking with us. Thank you for the support. We hope all of our friends that are affected are getting warmer by the second, and hope everybody's power and water gets back on real soon.
And water's where it needs to be, and power's where it needs to be.
Here's to spring.
Yes. Cheers.
Thanks.